hurt your head trying to figure out all the scenarios in the ACC Coastal. Buzz feels the pain. Chaos rules again in the Coastal Division. It's the Kalins of November, and as the legendary Frank Broyles used to say, they always remember what you do in November. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. I guess Duke holds up the 1% in the ACC Coastal Division, but there's a healthy middle class. Georgia Tech and Virginia, 2 of 3 teams with 2 losses in conference play. North Carolina is about to go to a 3rd loss. They're trailing Miami big right now. Pittsburgh fell to Duke in a game you saw earlier today on ESPNU. Anish Shroff alongside fellow first-round pick Kelly Stauffer. Not fellow first-round pick, you're the first-round pick. It's cold, it's chilly, it's November weather here in Atlanta. And in the Coastal Division, we're singing a familiar refrain. The margin between all these teams, paper thin.
It's interesting. How long do we refer to chaos before it becomes normal? That seems to be what we have in this division currently, and I think our game's going to reflect that here this afternoon.
You know, when we get late into the season, the teams already have their identity set. And for Georgia Tech, they know they're not very good defensively. They are very good offensively. And the last 2 weeks, they've put up prodigious numbers.
Yeah, and we certainly know who Georgia Tech is offensively. In the last couple of weeks, they've been absolutely lights out. You can see right there those numbers, total yards, off the hook, points, and right there, Justin Thomas is the trigger puller, maybe the perfect quarterback for this particular offense. And Virginia, on the other hand, has to play a really efficient game here this afternoon. That's because of what Georgia Tech does offensively, as a matter of fact. Grayson Lambert, you can see what he did last week. He's going to have to actually be much better today. Those numbers are not going to get it done here this afternoon.
Lambert last week set a career high with 261 yards and a heartbreaking loss for UVA to North Carolina. Virginia missed some chances late in that game, and Lambert did throw a key interception late in that game. Both of these teams chasing Duke in the Coastal Division. The advantage Duke has, they've beaten both Virginia and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and that game today, the overtime Duke-Pitt game is indicative, Anish, of what's happening in this Coastal Conference. There's just very little separation from one team and the next, from 1 week to the next.
Virginia will receive Georgia Tech, and Harrison Butker to kick off to start things out on a windy, chilly afternoon here in Atlanta, Georgia. That is Smoke Mizell. And Mizell, the sophomore, across the 20 to the 21-yard line. For Mike London and his Virginia coaching staff, this is a critical 4-game stretch. He was on the hot seat to begin the season. Virginia at 4-4 with a tough balance of games left. Really needs to play well for this coaching staff to be here next season.
Yeah, you framed it exactly right, and you said it at the top. People remember what you do in November, and that record right there is not going to get it done, and Virginia's going to have to play very well on this side of the ball in particular for them to have a chance here this afternoon.
Low snap on first down. Lambert able to pick it up, and then down he goes. Sacked by P.J. Davis. And for Georgia Tech, it looked like the start of the Pittsburgh game where Pittsburgh couldn't handle the football.
Yeah, and this snap is just low, and remember that Lambert is a big dude. He's 6'5", and that ball was down at his feet. A bad snap by Ross Burbank to start this game, and obviously not a very good start for Virginia offensively.
Lambert from Jessup, Georgia, about 3.5 hours southeast of Atlanta. It's about an hour south of Savannah. On second down, the give is to Kevin Parks. And he pushes the pile ahead for a couple of yards. 3rd and long for UVA on their first drive of the game. Lambert broke spring camp as the starter for Virginia, struggled in the season opener against UCLA, was replaced by Matt Johns in that game. And then both got some playing time over the next few games. Lambert injured his ankle against BYU, missed 3 games, and this is his second game back and really a critical one for him going forward.
Yeah, this is really the first time he's been totally healthy. This is a decent barometer of where exactly Grayson Lambert is in his development.
On 3rd and long, here's the pressure, there's the screen pass. Virginia loves those, and Georgia Tech snuffs it out. DJ White gets Kevin Parks, and it's 4th down for UVA.
Virginia is a great screen team, and DJ White makes a tremendous play. Very well set up. Look at the offensive line getting out there and tack, and you can see right there, if DJ White does not slip the block and get that tackle, they convert. That was a big play waiting to happen.
Alec Vozanilik on to punt it away. Jamal Golden signals for a fair catch, bobbles it, and he'll be down near the 40-yard line of Virginia. So Georgia Tech with outstanding starting field position, and the Yellow Jackets will come out offensively, led by the conductor, Justin Thomas, a sophomore, and he's one of 8 players in the FBS that leads their team in passing and rushing. He is an ideal fit for this spread option.
Yeah, going back to their roots, really. Paul Johnson talked about that in the offseason, wanting to get back to the core triple option and then expand from there.
On 1st down, the give is to St. John Days, who's coming off his first 100-yard game of his career. He gets 7. Zach Lasky, who's normally the B-back, the D-back, out with a shoulder injury. He got hurt against North Carolina a few weeks back.
And St. John Day is actually a bigger back than Lasky is, but Lasky is such a force. He always goes forward. Very seldom a negative play, and St. John Days has big shoes to fill.
And a flag before the whistle.
False start.
Wow. You hear the wind just a little bit right there in the umpire's mic.
Let's take a look at impact players for when Georgia Tech has the football.
We talked about St. John Days is the running back, the fullback that has to be established, and then Smelter, but the 2 safeties on the other side are going to have huge games here this afternoon.
Dion Hill in motion. Thomas options to his left. Give us to Days, and Days gobbled up right at the 40 by Quinn Blanding, the true freshman who was the #1 safety coming out of high school, and Blanding 2nd in the ACC in tackles. He's been a revelation for Virginia.
Yeah, one of the safeties that we just talked about has to have a big impact today. Blanding and Anthony Harris on the other side, but Blanding is the youngster. Anthony Harris is the proven commodity on the other side. Both are safeties that have to run the alley outside that tackle box, and they have to tackle really well today.
On 3rd down, Thomas has some room. He's got a 1st down, and he'll scamper out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Georgia Tech #1 in the nation on converting 3rd downs.
And watch Coley right here in the middle. He's going to go for the fake, and it's actually just a quarterback draw off to the left. That middle linebacker has to do a better job of diagnosing. He's the first line of defense right there on the quarterback. Coley was out of place. Big play by Justin Thomas.
Here's the toss. Broderick Snoddy coming off the best game of his career, and Snoddy run out of bounds by Anthony Harris, the All-American, a gain of a yard. Snoddy last week, 82 yards, 3 touchdowns. Georgia Tech knocked off Pittsburgh last week, and in that game against Pitt, the Panthers fumbled the ball away on their first 5 possessions. 6 fumbles lost in all for Pitt, and Georgia Tech turned those into 35 points. Thomas on 2nd down with time. Steps up, and that pass is caught. It was intended, I believe, for Zenon, but Smelter comes down with it, and it's a Yellow Jacket 1st down.
Yeah, I'm not sure who this was intended for, but Smelter is a big-bodied guy that catches the ball well off his frame, and that certainly was off Smelter's frame. I think you're exactly right. I don't even think that was to him, but nonetheless, 15 comes down with it.
The wind has died down a little as we come up on 10 minutes to play in the 1st quarter. Option. This is Dion Hill, and Hill motors into the end zone. The Yellow Jackets on the board first.
Anish, this was a textbook drive, and they get to the perimeter right here. Pull it out of the belly of the fullback and then pitch out wide, and that's what stresses a defense. Establish St. Days, the fullback, up inside, and then carry it out to the perimeter with the quarterback keep or the quarterback pitching the ball on that particular play. Very, very tough to handle defensively.
Oh, we mentioned the injury to Lasky. Charles Perkins, one of the A-backs, the wing-backs, out with a knee injury, but Dion Hill picking up the slack, his third rushing touchdown of the season, and Georgia Tech strikes first.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
This is the Ramblin' Wreck Parade, part of the homecoming festivities here at Georgia Tech. This was taken at 8 a.m. this morning. And you see part of the Georgia Tech Solar Racing Group. Team is made up of 70 students with 12 different majors. They can get creative here at Georgia Tech. And the Yellow Jackets offensively didn't need much creativity. They just pounded the ball on the ground for the most part. And on the option game, it was Dion Hill with a touchdown run, his third rushing touchdown, and Paul Johnson's team with the early lead. And the wind blows the ball off the tee. That could be an issue, Kelly. Wind might have more of an impact on special teams today.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know that it's going to affect the pass game much, but I think special teams, you're exactly right. Catching a punt might be an adventure, but also long field goals into the win for obvious reasons is going to be difficult today.
We saw Jamal Golden have some trouble on the first punt of the game. At Georgia Tech, they don't really throw it a ton, so the wind might not affect them in terms of their offense. The wind aids that football as it goes out of bounds. A touchback for Butker. And let's take a look at the game plan.
Well, the nature of Georgia Tech's offense is to control the ball, control the clock, possess it, and that keeps their own defense fresh, but it also has a negative effect on the opposing offense. The offense feels they have to be so efficient. They're going to get less plays, less touches. They have to take full advantage of that. That's how this Georgia Tech offense affects the entire game here this afternoon.
Virginia's had a ton of close calls this season, 4-4, 2-2 in the ACC. And Kevin Parks on first down, brought down by Patrick Gamble, who's getting the start at defensive end in place of Kyle Travis. Georgia Tech with a few tweaks defensively. Corey Griffin also starting at safety in place of Jamal Golden.
Yeah, Gamble is usually in the defensive tackle rotation, and now they're going to put Gamble out on the defensive end position. He's also going to rotate through the middle as well, but trying to create more explosiveness on that defensive line in general.
This is interesting. David Watford, the third string quarterback in the game as the slot receiver, bottom of your screen. Grayson Lambert under trouble and throws it away, intended for Mizell. There is a flag back at the 13-yard line.
Well, the flag literally hit offensive tackle Eric Smith, and I don't know for sure if he's going to get called for the hold, but the flag absolutely found him.
On the offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty, second down.
It was actually Eric Smith, and Anish, the flag literally hit Eric Smith in the shoulder pad. Typically when that happens, you're the one guilty of the infraction.
Smith, a Georgia native, grew up just about 15 minutes outside of Atlanta. You know, we saw Watford in the game as a receiver there. Remember, Virginia thin at wide receiver. Miles Gooch, who leads the team in receiving yards, got hurt last week against North Carolina. Mike London told us he's going to be out for a while. And Andre Lavroni, a promising redshirt freshman, did not make the trip. He's also hurt. This is Jennings on the jet sweep, and he's tripped up shy of the 20-yard line, a gain of 4, and another 3rd and long coming up for UVA.
That's the key right there, Nish. 3rd and long. The bad snap on the first drive ended up in a backed-up situation and behind the sticks for UVA, and now on this particular drive because of the hold on Eric Smith. And I don't know that this offense is good enough to consistently overcome being behind in the sticks.
Virginia this season just 1 of 17 on 3rd downs where they have to go more than 10 yards. 3-man rush. There's the screen to Parks. And Parks gets it to the 27, 8 yards shy of the 1st down. And UVA will be forced to punt once again.
That is a perfect defensive drive in the eyes of defensive coordinator Ted Brew. Get the offense behind and down in distance, forced to a 3rd down, a short throw, a good tackle, and a punt later. That's good stuff by Georgia Tech.
Goes an Illick's punt. Bounces in front of Golden. It takes a Virginia bounce inside the Georgia Tech 25, and UVA downs it at the 22-yard line, a 51-yard punt. Paul Johnson in his 7th season as Georgia Tech's head coach. In 18 seasons as a head coach, he has only had 1 losing season. That was a 2-10 season in his first year at Navy. And he doesn't like you to call his offense a triple option offense. He says it's a spread option offense.
The triple option is the core play for sure, and that's exactly what they revisited in the offseason and committed to coming into 2014.
First down to give is to the B-back, sort of the fullback role in that option offense, and St. John Days gets 5. Let's go back to that first Georgia Tech touchdown.
It's about assignment football, and let it roll to the pitch, and just as Thomas pitches it, look at the defender inside, and nobody running the alley to the pitch. It's about assignment football, and when you don't keep your eyes right and execute your assignment, Georgia Tech ends up in the end zone.
Here's the pitch to Snoddy. Snoddy across the 35. He's the fastest player on the team. And Snoddy finally tripped up by Blanding in Virginia territory.
It's the same exact play as Thomas pitches the ball. Look at nobody is in the zone right here. There has to be a safety that runs the alley. The safety that comes up there gets blocked outside, and that was Anthony Harris being blocked by Dion Hill, and that's what makes this offense so difficult to defend.
A gain of 24. On the toss, this is Dennis Andrews. Gets away from Phelps and finally driven out by Anthony Harris. An All-American last year, Harris led the nation with 8 picks.
And what John Tenuta told us is the key for this, stopping this option offense, is you always have to tackle the fullback, and then you have to rally to the quarterback on the edge and to the pitch. And right now, Georgia Tech is already out in the pitch area, and Virginia simply is not getting enough hats out there.
Zenon and Andrews, the A-backs. Thomas on the option. That's Tony Zenon. He lowers his head, gets to the 35, picks up 10, and a Georgia Tech first down. This is a Virginia team defensively built on the blitz. It's tough to do that a lot against the option.
It really is. There's not a lot of penetration, and once again, it's the pitch right now that's killing Virginia defensively. There's just not enough force play. Very good blocking that particular play by Dennis Andrews, but blocked very well, and Virginia has to find the pitch man.
This is Justin Thomas on the quarterback keeper, and Thomas to the 31-yard line, a gain of 4.
Yeah, Justin Thomas, we met with him yesterday, and if he's 5'11", I'm about 6'10", because he is a slight dude, but the thing that he is, his nickname is Smooth, right? He is very smooth. He's smooth in his delivery when we talk to him. He's also very, very smooth on the football field, and also has very good track speed.
Got that name from his high school basketball days. There's the option, Snoddy again. And right now, Georgia Tech just gutting Virginia with the option game. That's a gain of 10. The Yellow Jackets averaging better than 8 yards per rush.
Yeah, see how you would defend this. They tackle the fullback, and then where's the defense on the pitch? You can see Quinn Blanding is the safety that ends up too far inside, and then the other running back blocks the corner outside. It leaves the alley for the pitchman to run through.
This is a give to St. John Days. And he's finally tackled by Max Valles at the 18-yard line. It's a gain of 3, second down and 7.
You know, Nisha, if you're Virginia defensively, you have to find some way to create a negative play, but that's very difficult. Virginia's personality defensively is to blitz. You talked about it. They love to blitz over half the plays, but it's hard to blitz this defense and force them into negative plays and get him behind the down and distance.
Paul Johnson told us yesterday he didn't expect Virginia to blitz much. And that time Andrews tripped up in the backfield by Valles. It'll go as no gain, and it's 3rd and long. And this is a big sequence here for this Virginia defense. You want to get Georgia Tech in passing down so you can unleash that blitz.
Yeah, and that's what you just got in talking about. Very difficult to do. That's the first time that Virginia has defended the pitchman in this early part of the game, but they have them where they want them now. 3rd and more than 7. Defense has the advantage. Now you have to take advantage of that down and distance.
Timeout, Georgia Tech.
And maybe Paul Johnson knows that. He calls a timeout with 4:12 to go here in the first quarter. We talked about this pressure defense that Virginia has. John Tenuta, their defensive coordinator, used to be a defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech, and UVA leading the ACC in blitz percentage.
And that's basically numbers that are compiled against drop back passes. Obviously, this is not what we're seeing today, but it still shows the insight to the nature of what Tenuta likes to do defensively. Attack the line of scrimmage, but it's very difficult to do that against the option. Assignment football, tackle well, keep your eyes right, and when you're out of place, Georgia Tech makes you pay for it.
You know, something else you got to remember with Georgia Tech, 3rd and 7, windy day inside the 20.
Good point.
This could be 4-down territory for Paul Johnson, so this play could maybe set up what's coming on 4th down.
That's a great point, and that's exactly the way they'll probably approach this 3rd and 7 or more. They're a run team anyway, but they love to go for it on 4th down, and they have the offense that's tailor-made for not only converting on 4th, but also finishing in the red zone, and they do both at a really high level.
Last week against Pitt, Georgia Tech averaged better than 8 yards per play. Thomas off play action, looking for Smelter, who makes the catch, and into the end zone, touchdown, Georgia Tech.
Smelter matched up on 26 Kennedy, and right there, it's just kind of a back shoulder throw. Run into the end zone and then come back down the line. Very well timed between Thomas and Smelter, and when you run the option the way Georgia Tech does and you're able to convert, throwing the ball like they did on that play, that's very difficult to handle for any defense.
For DeAndre Smelter, his 6th touchdown reception of the season. Paul Johnson told us yesterday Smelter's a kid who will play on Sundays. He gives Georgia Tech a 2-touchdown lead. So Virginia Tech drops to 1-4 in the ACC. Mike London's team got off to a 4-2 start. They've now dropped 2 straight. And the back end of the schedule, brutal for UVA. It's going to be a tough November if Virginia wants to get bowl eligible. They have to go 2-2 down the stretch. Last week, Virginia suffered a heartbreaker against North Carolina. And the wind wreaking havoc on the kickoff once again. I thought we'd be down in Atlanta, get some decent southern weather here in November. Instead, it's sub 50-degree temperatures, 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Flags are going to be destroyed by the end of the day.
Another touchback for Harrison Butker. UVA has been close a number of times this season against UCLA. The Bruins won that game on the strength of 3 defensive touchdowns. BYU was an 8-point game. Duke, a 7-point loss. And last week against North Carolina was a game Virginia seemed to be in control of. Grayson Lambert threw a poor interception in that fourth quarter. North Carolina gets the ball back, marches down the field, scores to take the lead, and then goes for an onside kick. And UVA never saw the ball again. Play action. Lambert on the run, and he completes that one far side at the 30. It's Kanan Severin. And Severin's going to be looked at as a key cog in this receiving game going forward.
Moving Lambert outside a little bit, but you're exactly right. Offensive play caller Steve Fairchild is looking for bodies to step up at the wide receiver position. Darius Jennings is a proven commodity, but he needs some help, some explosive help from that wide receiver position.
Miles Gooch out. Andre Levrone out today. He did not make the trip to Atlanta. Here's the blitz. And that one is dropped by Connor Wingo Reeves, the fullback. And that's a ball he's got to catch.
Yeah, and that's prototypical Steve Fairchild play calling. It's very simple. You have a route outside and then the fullback goes to the flat, but that has to be completed about 100% of the time, and receiver Wingo Reeves just did not look it into his hands.
Number 4 in orange, Taquan Mizell checks into the game for Virginia. They'll use him as a threat out of the backfield in the receiving game, also as a decoy. And Khalid Shepard in the game at running back. Lambert picks up a first down. It's Mizell on that far sideline, and UVA moves the chains, a gain of 6.
Well executed, and this time Mizell was obviously not the decoy. A good 2-man route outside, and Mizell just breaks it off short, but for first down distance. And I don't know if there was a more important play early in this game than that one, because Virginia has to possess the ball a little bit right here.
That was the first down of the game for UVA. And it gives to Shepard, a little shake and bake. And finally driven out by DJ White. Give him about 7 on the play, and it's second down and 3. Shepard's more of their perimeter runner. Parks will pound it between the tackles.
Shepard's more of kind of a combination of a little bit of speed and a little bit of size. Mizell's the explosive guy, and Parks is probably certainly the most versatile and also the most consistent and complete back that Steve Fairchild and Virginia has.
On second and 3. That's caught by Jennings. He's across midfield into Georgia Tech territory, and Jennings finally spun down after a gain of 13.
Jennings runs the curl route, just comes into the void of the zone and then look for the ball right there. Good job. It was off frame a little bit, but he catches it, had a receiver outside of him that kind of uncovered Jennings right in the middle of the field.
Injured Georgia Tech player is P.J. Davis, the weak side linebacker. Davis, last week against Pittsburgh, 2 forced fumbles, 3 tackles for loss. From Cairo, Georgia, he is the team's leading tackler.
And he is really the big play guy on that side, and Georgia Tech hasn't had a lot of big plays defensively. A little inconsistent because of his youth, but a big play guy nonetheless.
Yeah, that's a guy on this defense which is thin and inexperienced and struggling. They can't afford to lose a guy like Davis.
You can see him right there defending the ball, number 40, P.J. Davis, and I think just gets tied up right in the mix. You can see his upper body just gets bent. He has a leg underneath him. When those big bodies, big athletic guys start flying around, it's amazing that we don't have guys on the field more than we do. It's interesting that Ted Roof told us that P.J. Davis, sometimes you want defenders to use their eyes and keep their eyes right. Every defender has keys that they read all the time and to get him in the right position. They say sometimes that P.J. Davis sees too much and gets himself out of position because of it. But he certainly has big play potential down the road.
It looks like he's walking off there on his own power. You hope he's okay. Tonight at 7 from Nashville, Old Dominion takes on Vanderbilt. You can watch the game on ESPNU and the Watch ESPN app. ODU's got a pretty good young quarterback in Taylor Heineke. He's one to watch. And David Watford again in the game as a wide receiver, a third-string quarterback who started last season lined up at the bottom of your screen. Lambert throwing downfield. He wants Severin, and Kanan Severin makes the catch over Demond Smith. Virginia in the red zone.
This is a great throw by Lambert, and just one of those situations where your receiver, Severin in this case, is looking back for the ball and the defender doesn't see it. Use Severin's 6'2" height and go catch one. Go get a rebound up by the rim.
Virginia going quickly. Shepard looking for room and now just burrows across the 15. A gain of 2.
And an issue Virginia is offensively is Steve Fairchild, offensive play caller, is really a pro-style guy, but he doesn't really have the tight ends that he would want, 2 or 3 of them. He does have a good group of running backs. His wide receivers are emerging, and he has a young quarterback that is just learning how to play the game and is developing. So they're a zone run team, a play action team, but they're also a very, very good screen team.
Mizell in motion. Lambert, play action, throwing for the end zone. He's got his tight end, Zachary Swanson, and Virginia's on the board.
Well, we just got done talking about the zone run inside and then the play action off of that, and that's what Swanson does right here. You can see the tight end going to the corner, the fullback's in the flat. You fake a run one way, and then the quarterback, Lambert, boots back to the other way. That's a NFL-style play, and it works very well right there.
Ian Fry on for the point after. Matt Johns, the backup quarterback, to hold. The snap, the hold, the kick. It's good, and it's 14-7. Kelly, you said Virginia offensive coordinator Steve Fairchild likes to use the tight end. UVA lost a good one in the offseason in Jake McGee, who transferred to Florida. He was your pass-catching tight end. Wasn't for much use in the blocking game, but he could stretch the field. And Swanson, really for the first half of the season, was a non-factor in the passing game. They've gone to him a little more of late.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they need. Is Swanson's going to be right here. You're going to get flow that direction. The quarterback is going to come back here. Go ahead and let it roll, guys. And Swanson goes to the corner. You can see the fullback is there to stretch the defense. High with the tight end, low with the fullback, and you make Lambert make a good decision, and he does right there. That is a prototypical Steve Fairchild NFL-style play call, and it works very well. And I'll tell you what, Anish, Virginia really needed to answer right there. The start that Georgia Tech has had offensively, and Virginia's defense was reeling. They needed a break, and the best of all worlds is to Virginia's offense to go on a drive and get in the end zone. They hadn't finished well in the red zone recently, and that was a good finish right there.
The red zone has been a struggle all season, and Mike London told us they have to punctuate drives better. Dylan Sims on to kick it off. Short kick, fielded by Georgia Tech and Golden. Golden tackled at about the 27-yard line. Celebrating its 10th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $3.6 million in scholarship funds.
And Anish, that last kickoff into the wind going right to left is something to keep in mind down the road, because that ball got up there and absolutely hit a brick wall and could not go anywhere.
Eolis, the god of the winds, feeling frisky on a Saturday afternoon. Thomas downfield for Smelter, makes the catch. Smelter stops, speeds back upfield, inside the 10, first and goal. Georgia Tech, Max Vallis saved the touchdown with the tackle.
Kennedy once again on the coverage and has decent coverage, but he just doesn't take a very good angle on the post route by Smelter. That's once again right there. You're in decent position, but believe what your eyes are seeing as a defender. Jump inside and get on top of that post route, and Kennedy does not do it on that play.
Here's St. John Days, and he's met right at the point of attack. 2nd and goal, no gain. Well, Paul Johnson told us Smelter's an NFL guy. He'll play on Sundays. He's the best blocking wide receiver. And for a guy who came to Georgia Tech on a baseball scholarship, he's really turned into an outstanding receiver in a very short time.
What's interesting is a baseball guy, he has really good football instincts. And Paul Johnson told us that not only is he a good route runner, he has a good body, the measurables are terrific, but he's a tremendous blocker in this offense.
Thomas options to Andrews, in trouble, and Andrews ambushed. Back at the 12-yard line, Max Valles and Eli Harold were there.
That's the adjustment to that pitch. Valles, that's the second play he's made on the pitch map.
That brings us to the end of the first quarter. Georgia Tech on the move again.
No, bad mama see this ain't no mediocre. I want no mediocre. I won't eat no mediocre. You a bad shit. Standing on a mediocre. On a mediocre. You stand on a mediocre. 7 women with their head on a mediocre. From their head to their toe. They so far from mediocre. Yeah.
Virginia entered today 9th in the FBS in rushing defense, but Georgia Tech put up 92 yards on the ground in that first quarter. Georgia Tech 3rd in the FBS in rushing offense, and the Yellow Jackets with a 3rd and goal as we start the second quarter. Thomas to the air, floats it up for Smelter. Make that Waller, and it's a touchdown for the Yellow Jackets.
It's the other big-bodied guy, and Darren Waller is 6'5", 240. He's essentially a tight end playing wide receiver, and this is a jump ball. There's no fancy design to it. Justin Thomas just throws it up, and 6'5", 240 Waller just outfights the defensive back and comes down with it. That's a little bit too easy. Defensive back-wise, you got to be more aggressive on the line of scrimmage.
And this is not something you say often, but right now Georgia Tech actually has more passing yards than rushing yards.
It's interesting, and the young quarterback, Thomas, pretty good idea. Throw it up to 6'5" and let your receiver go get it.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by Disney Cruise Line.
Well, we took some underwater video at the Georgia Aquarium. No word if we found Nemo, though.
Nemo might have gotten eaten by one of those things we just saw.
Yeah, I'm not sure Nemo survives in there.
That's food in that little bottle right there, too, I believe.
Right now, Georgia Tech's offense eating up Virginia. The Yellow Jackets have scored on all 3 of their possessions.
In the pass game, when Georgia Tech has needed a play to Waller or to Smelter, that pass play has worked well for them. Very lethal when you're running that option and then all of a sudden you throw the football well also.
The Yellow Jackets, almost 200 yards of total offense early in the second quarter. Jennings tackled shy of the 25, a 17-yard return. Virginia's offense showed some promise on that last drive. After the first couple of drives, it felt like UVA went backwards.
Yeah, they certainly need to get something going, and that's what this Georgia Tech offense does to the Virginia offense in this particular game, is it forces the opposition offensively to be sometimes a little more efficient than they're used to being, and Virginia's going to have to prove they can do that today, starting on this drive just like the drive before.
Georgia Tech shows blitz. incomplete, intended for Kanan Severin. 2nd down and 10. Severin trying to plead his case.
That's the kind of pass that Grayson Lambert has to hit. That's an open receiver on any level, and Lambert had good protection, stepped into the throw, and just throws it low and outside. That has to be automatic for Grayson Lambert.
If you're just joining us, Virginia with 2 of the receiving threats sidelined. Miles Gooch is going to be out for a while with a lower body injury, and Andre Lavroni did not make the trip either. He's got an upper extremity injury. They give us to Kevin Parks, 6th all-time at Virginia in rushing, and he picks up 3. Parks coming off a 111-yard game in the loss at UNC last week.
I like Virginia running the zone scheme up inside, but that's really the table setter for this entire offense. But first down passing by Steve Fairchild, the play caller, is kind of a tendency breaker. But I think they match up well on the line of scrimmage in that zone run game. This is not the down and distance that Virginia wants to be in to make a living today.
Here's the blitz. Lambert takes a hit, going downfield for Johnson, and it's incomplete. Johnson had a step on his man, Step Durham, but Lambert overthrew him as he was facing the brigade.
Yeah, there was pressure, and that did affect the throw just a little bit, but that's also going from left to right. The wind pushed that ball down the field. Going the other direction, that ball's going to drop, but going left to right, the wind catches it and actually kind of somewhat like a surfboard pushes it further down the road.
Bozanilik, the senior from Richmond, on to punt it away. And Golden makes the catch. He gets hit. There was a fair catch signal, and the refs all over that.
And if the official did rule that Golden had a legal fair catch signal, then obviously he's protected. He can run up and catch that ball anywhere he wants to, and that protection follows him.
David Epperly in the white hat, the head referee.
Kick catch interference on the kicking team. Number 29, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
Penalty on DJ Hill, and let's take another look. It looked like 40 instead of 29. Either way, Georgia Tech will move up when they get the ball. The temperatures here in Atlanta indicate winter is coming. Mike London looking on. He knows it could be a long winter if Virginia doesn't finish the season strong. Georgia Tech has scored on all of its drives. They'll start inside UVA territory. And that's the be-back singeing days to the 40-yard line.
The passing game for Georgia Tech is lethal when they establish that run. You can see Smelter matched up on Kennedy, and Smelter once again on the post, once again matched up on 26 Kennedy, and then right here, the finish by Waller, the big receiver goes up and gets that.
Justin Thomas, 4 for 4, 104 yards, 2 touchdown passes in the early going. And they'll run Days again, and the battering ram picks up a couple. You know, you watch those highlights of the big passing plays that Georgia Tech has had. They've been picking on Virginia's top corner, Maurice Kennedy.
And it's somewhat interesting because I think Kennedy is certainly the best guy. He's kind of a lockdown guy for Virginia defensively, and he's a big-bodied guy also, 6'2", 190, but he wasn't the most physical player on those 3 passing highlights that we showed.
Georgia Tech has physical wide receivers. Here's Dion Hill, tripped up by Vallis, and then finished off by Anthony Harris. It's a gain of 3, 3rd down.
This Georgia Tech option offense, the spread option as Paul Johnson likes to refer to it as, it starts inside establishing the fullback, and then it expands to the outside with the quarterback run or the quarterback pitch, and then you throw in the passing game if it's as efficient as it has been early as it was in that first quarter, then this is a tough animal to handle.
Second down, 7 to go. Thomas options to Days, makes one man miss, and Days drags the tackler across the 28. He's got a Georgia Tech first down.
When you're in position to make a tackle, you have to make it, and Henry Coley right there, breaking down in space, look St. Days in the belly and make a play right there. And defensive design is about getting guys in the proper place, but you can't make the play for them as a defensive play caller, and you can see it right there with Coley. Has to finish out in space.
Linebackers have been the lifeblood of John Tenuta's defenses wherever he's been. As Days gashes the middle, and he's to the 23-yard line. And really, Virginia's got a very good linebacking core with Coley, Daquan Romero, and Max Valles. They haven't made much of an impact so far.
And I think Coley in particular, the middle linebacker that has to get everyone lined up right, I think his weakness is out in space. I think he's a tackle box type of player and goes downhill, but when you can get 44 Coley in space, I think that's when he has trouble at times.
Here's Zenon. And Zenon that time devoured by Romero for a loss of 3.
Benicia just got done talking about the linebackers, and Romero, number 13, you can see him pursuing from the inside out, and that's the key. Make sure the fullback is tackled and then continue to skate and rally outside, and Romero did it on that play. The more you talk about the linebackers today, Anish, the better Virginia's defense is going to be playing.
Passing down for Georgia Tech. 3 for 3 on third down so far. 58% on the season, number 1 in the FBS. Thomas to the air, and that's broken up. Intended for Smelter, and that time Maurice Kennedy got his.
You're just running a stop route. You can see right there just coming back downhill, and that time Kennedy did a very good job at the top of the route. They call it the top of the stem. Be the physical player and then break on the ball. That's the way you defend that route.
And a decision here for Paul Johnson. It's about a 44, 45-yard field goal. We've mentioned the wind, which has been swirling all afternoon, and it looks like Paul Johnson's going to go for it. I don't blame him given the conditions.
And the wind is not favoring field goals going that direction.
Thomas on fourth down. That's caught, and it's a first down by Georgia Tech. No, incomplete. It looked like Waller held on. He did not, and Virginia will get it back.
And Waller does not complete the catch all the way to the ground. He has it secured there, but watch the ball come out. If we can let this angle roll, the ball comes out at the end. So that's the defensive back has to finish the play, and that's a good job by Phelps right there. Finish that play all the way to the ground.
And meanwhile, UVA gets a much-needed stop on defense for the first time today. And now Virginia's offense will go back to work with 10:06 to go in the half.
And Virginia's defense looks like it's getting caught up to Georgia Tech's option offense a little bit. This Virginia Tech offense has to prove they can be efficient enough.
Incomplete. Keon Johnson, the target, second down and 10.
Very frustrating for a quarterback when you do everything right, you throw a good ball, and the receiver just simply has to look it into his hands and they don't complete the catch. That's the second drop ball by Virginia receivers today.
And that's dropped by Mizell, make it 3.
Once again, a really good decision by Grayson Lambert, thrown to the back on the check down. Very soft coverage on the back end by Georgia Tech. Quarterback found his check down, and Mizell doesn't complete the play. 3rd and 10 once again. This is once again the down and distance. It makes it very tough to be efficient enough against what you're going to see out of Georgia Tech offensively. Four-man
rush. Lambert steps up, has Jennings over the middle, And Darius Jennings with a first down at the 48-yard line. A pickup of 21.
Jennings runs a dig route. Severin's inside of Jennings and clears out the safety and creates that void in that zone. 3rd and 10, and it was a soft zone by Georgia Tech, and Jennings found that softness.
Tech slow to get set. Lambert rolling out, throws on the run, floated downfield, and that is a catch. Keon Johnson hangs onto it at the 35-yard line.
Johnson caught it at least twice, if not 3 times. That's tremendous concentration. Didn't catch it early, bounced off the face mask, and corrals it with the right hand right at the end. That is a really good finish.
Tempo from UVA. And that was Lambert on the read option. He only got a yard, so it'll bring up 2nd down and 9. Keon Johnson was one of the guys Mike London said had to step up in the receiving game with a couple of guys down.
Gifted and needs to emerge is what Mike London told us on the phone earlier in the week. And 6'3", 210, and a gifted in his skill set. He just needs to become a better receiver overall.
On 2nd and 9 in the direction of Mizell, and nearly intercepted by Georgia Tech. DJ White almost had that one.
This is what you call a panic throw. The clock goes off in the quarterback's head, and this is covered very well outside. Nowhere to throw the ball, but you also took your eyes there as a quarterback that led the safety over there to that throw as well. Freeman, the youngster of defensive end position, doing a tremendous job of covering the running back out of the backfield.
Empty look on 3rd and 9. And somebody jumped.
You could name about 3 or 4 of them for Virginia.
False start. Offense. Number 49. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
It's the tight end Swanson.
Yeah, pre-snap penalty is the most egregious kind in the game of football, but you talked about the pressure look from the empty set. A lot of times the defense's response to an empty set is to bring pressure because there aren't as many protectors in the backfield.
David Watford again in the game as a wide receiver, lined up at the bottom of your screen. Here's the blitz. Lambert hit, chucks it downfield, incomplete. Jennings was the intended receiver. He was covered well by DJ White, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, the pressure up the middle leads to a hurried throw at the end. You can see the pressure right there on Lambert and the really good coverage on the fade outside. DJ White was right in the pocket of the receiver, and once again, the wind pushed that ball too far down the field.
Well, defensively, Georgia Tech has looked much better today than they have maybe all season. That might have been partially blocked. It'll roll dead at the 10-yard line. I think Keyshawn Freeman might have gotten his hand on that football. Freeman does deflect it, but Georgia Tech will start at its own 10-yard line.
Hello, Haj. Hi. Good burn.
Special thanks to Aaron Morlang and Jan Odell of the Georgia Aquarium. They got up close and personal with the penguin, showed us what it's like. I think that one's name is Cobblepot.
I'll take your word for it. They're very inquisitive little things, aren't they?
Can't say I've spent too much time around them to confirm or deny that. I watched the movie, though, March of the Penguins. As St. John Days marches forward for 4, 2nd down and 6.
I think this is an important defensive series for Virginia, at least to gain field position back for their offense. That right now, we talked about Virginia offensively needing to get off to a quick start and be efficient, and they really haven't arrived at either one of those things.
On 2nd and 6, the pitch is to Snoddy, the fastest player on Georgia Tech. And he's tackled by Henry Coley right at the 1st down marker. We check in with the studio. Morgantown, a tough place to play. Baylor found that out. Meanwhile, Boykin, let's put him in the Heisman conversation. He might have a seat in New York before all said and done. And that's Days for a couple. 2nd down and 8. Again, Zach Lasky missing his 2nd straight game for Georgia Tech. He's the normal B-back. But Days filled in admirably last week in the win against Pittsburgh, a career-high 110 yards.
And Days actually is a bigger bodied back that at that fullback position, or they call it a B-back here at Georgia Tech, is certainly needed at 230 plus pounds, and that's a go forward position. You don't want negative plays out of that player.
He's the battering ram. Thomas in trouble, and down he goes, taken down by Mike Moore back at the 14-yard line. And it's a loss of 8.
Virginia's hunting for negative plays, and this is their play right here. Moore pursues from the backside, but that was Eli Harold that cut off the quarterback going around the edge, and that's how you stop the option. Be disruptive in the front 7 and take the fight across the line of scrimmage, but this down and distance is how you need to get off the field against this Georgia Tech offense.
Now Virginia can unleash the pressure. Thomas hit as he throws it, it's intercepted. Anthony Harris, the All-American who led the nation in picks last year, gets his 2nd interception of 2014.
Forced Georgia Tech behind chains, therefore out of their comfort zone, and this is what happens. One of the first times today that Virginia's been successful at getting Georgia Tech behind the chains, and then they bait Justin Thomas into a bad play, and now the offense, you can see right there, the takeaways for Virginia leads the ACC. Offensively, Virginia needs to take full advantage of this opportunity.
Last year against Georgia Tech, Virginia was unable to capitalize on 5 Tech turnovers. Over the middle, incomplete. Intended receiver was Kyle Dawkins. He's tough to miss with those dreadlocks. He's been growing them since 6th grade.
Lawrence Austin was the safety that comes over as well. This is a pretty narrow window, but could have been completed. Good coverage on the defender below on Smith, and then Lawrence Austin comes over the top from the safety position.
Swanson in motion. Screen to Mizell. Gets a block from his tight end. Mizell sprints across the 10, inside the 10 to the 6-yard line. 1st and goal, finally tackled by Davis.
The anticipation of pressure here, a perfect call by Steve Fairchild is a screen outside. The twist and the stunt up inside, and you give it to your space player out on the edge. That is a perfect call by Steve Fairchild.
On the ground, Mizell again, and he gets just a yard, tackled at the 5. That last catch by Mizell, good for 20 yards, his longest play from scrimmage this season, and this coaching staff is waiting for him to bust one of these explosive plays. Really, they've been waiting for 2 years.
Yeah, that is the player that needs to break out to add a needed and new dimension to this Virginia offense.
He came in with a lot of hype and has underperformed for the most part. Kevin Parks in the game now on 2nd and goal. They'll feed Parks, and he cuts it inside the 5 to the 4, 3rd and goal.
We talked about Georgia Tech liking to go for it on 4th down, and this is only 3rd down for Virginia, but they may be ramping up for 4 tries, because when you're playing this Georgia Tech offense, you're not guaranteed of having a lot of opportunities. So Steve Fairchild understands this ball has to get into the end zone this drive.
Mizell and Shepard in the game on 3rd and goal. Johnson, the slot receiver, he motions. Lambert, end zone. Johnson can't hold on, and it's 4th and goal.
Great play design, very poor finish. Overload routes to one side, and Johnson is alone in the end zone. And that ball was a little bit behind Johnson, a difficult catch, but a catch that a player like Johnson at 6'3" needs to make, and his team desperately need it.
And this has been an all too familiar red zone refrain for Virginia. A missed opportunity to get 6. Ian Fry, who's perfect inside 46, drills it from 22, and UVA has to settle for 3.
Lambert could have made that play a whole lot easier for Johnson, but it was a little bit behind him.
All right, thank you, Brendan. Georgia Tech leading Virginia 21-10. 4:18 to go in the first half. Virginia on its last drive had a chance to get 6. Keon Johnson could not hold on to a pass in the end zone, and instead Virginia settled for 3. The wind has been a factor here on kickoffs, and Jamal Golden, a dangerous return man for Georgia Tech. Golden has a chance to run this one back. He's across the 20 and finally tackled at about the 25-yard line. A missed chance for Virginia last time out.
Yeah, very well designed. You can see Johnson going to the back of the end zone, and the defender up front is put in a bind over the top and underneath, and this is just a huge miss. Not a great throw by Lambert, but certainly one that Johnson should have finished. And see Fairchild on the far left right there. Had a great design. Johnson just couldn't finish the play.
Grayson Lambert, Virginia's quarterback, 10 of 19. 6 passes, though, have been dropped. St. John Days breaks the tackle and then drags 2 defenders across the 30 for a gain of 6.
The way you think of the fullback in this Georgia Tech option offense is kind of like a temperature taker. He keeps the defense on as St. John Days does a very good job of that. His big body, and he's hard to get down. And we talked about the fact that Lasky is hurt, but St. John Days fills in a very, very big way.
Hale and Snoddy, the A-backs, they're on the wings. Thomas on the option, will try to keep it, and he is lassoed down by Vallis. Virginia's defense has gotten much better the last couple of drives defending the option.
And it does take the defense a lot of times a quarter to really catch up with the speed in which Georgia Tech unleashes this option offense. And that's about the 3rd play that we've seen Vallis make on that option play. A couple times on the pitch man, and that time on the quarterback.
Vallis, the utility guy on this Virginia defense. He'll line up all over the field. You'll see him at linebacker. You'll see him at end. Thomas downfield on 3rd down, incomplete, and now a flag.
I think Smelter was running a double move up at the top, and I think the defender Phelps is going to get called for the hold.
Holding on the defense, number 21. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
The Smelter, I think, is trying to run the double move. The stop and then the go, and I think that's just a good collision. There was no hold there, and the defender can get in the way of the receiver as long as he doesn't hold. His hands were not on the body of the receiver, Smelter. I think that's a poor call right there.
Georgia Tech moves up to the 39 after the penalty. Here's Days up the gut, across midfield. Days finally brought down by Harris at the 30-yard line.
We talked about St. John Days as kind of the temperature taker in this option offense. You can't forget about the fullback, or this is what happens. Step number 1 for Georgia Tech, establish that fullback position, and when the defense forgets about it, they gash you right up the middle.
A gain of 31 for Days, his longest run of the season. He's up to 80 yards rushing in the first half. Thomas on the option keeper, and he's chased down by Eli Harold. And Virginia's had a lot of success snuffing that play out.
Yeah, Virginia has defended the quarterback and the pitch phase much better than they did in the first quarter, but they forgot about the fullback one time, and that's exactly what Paul Johnson will do. If you're defending the quarterback on the edge and the pitch phase better, are you still defending the fullback? And that's what we saw in this drive in that big play by Days.
And that speaks to the fullback, even when he doesn't get the ball, has to sell that he has the football. Thomas pitches it, it gets away. And it looks like Georgia Tech able to cover it up. DeAndre Smelter was the pitch man that time, coming on the reverse.
Yeah, this had disaster written all over it. You can see the disrupted penetration up inside by DJ Hill. And Virginia has been doing a better job of that, and that's where that blitz personality comes into play, Anish. You can blitz the run as well and get disruption across the line of scrimmage.
Virginia elected not to call a timeout on 3rd and long. UVA will get the ball back.
Yeah, I think
can't
you're
get a
exactly
stop.
right. I think a timeout was in order right there.
Georgia Tech to the air. Thomas steps up, chucks it downfield, incomplete. The intended receiver was Waller. He was double covered.
Yeah, Phelps did a great job. That was a double move again by the receiver outside. Before it was Smelter, that time it was Darren Waller, but well defended by Brandon Phelps. Anish, I totally agree with you. I think Virginia missed an opportunity there with the timeout. Would have been a perfect use for their timeout to get more time here before the half.
Virginia does have all of its timeouts as a result. Fair catch signal by Shepard. Has some trouble with it, but able to cover it up at the 16-yard line. Virginia keeps it 45 seconds to go in the half. Number 3 versus number 4 tonight in Oxford. Auburn taking on Ole Miss. There were a lot of folks out there surprised that the selection committee ranked Ole Miss at 4, considering the Rebels were coming off a loss, but I think it gives us some insight into their thought process. They really didn't take too much into consideration with a road loss at LSU.
It's who have you beaten as opposed to if you lost, when did you lose? And I like that way of thinking.
With 3 timeouts, Virginia going to work. Lambert somehow gets it in there. He finds Kanan Severin near the 40-yard line. That was a tight window.
That was a really tight window. Well played outside by the defender, but Severin makes a nice catch, concentrated on that football.
Clock runs as the officials spot the ball. Virginia with all 3 timeouts. Lambert underneath. That's caught by Watford, and Watford tries to get out of bounds, and he does. They'll bring up 2nd down. Ball at the 46-yard line.
On that 3rd and 23 by Georgia Tech, I think Virginia wasted about 25 to 30 seconds by not calling a timeout. In that situation, when you have 3, you sacrifice a timeout to save that 30 seconds. I think that was a big mistake by Virginia in clock management.
Underneath, that's Parks. He gets a 1st down into Georgia Tech territory. 19 seconds to go. And it looks like Virginia's going to use its first timeout.
You can see how it looks now with 19 seconds. Add 30 seconds to that, and even if you only have 1 timeout, I like that scenario much better than 2 timeouts left with only 19 seconds.
As we've mentioned, wind in play this afternoon. There were gusts of about 25 miles per hour at kickoff. So even if you have a field goal opportunity, it's no sure thing with Ian Fry, who's a very good kicker. What is considered safe field goal range in these conditions?
Well, that's the way the wind is blowing too, because a field goal attempt, Virginia will have the wind at their back. The wind is blowing hard that direction, so whatever the field goal kicker's long in, you can add about 15 to that easily here to this afternoon.
Ian Fry's career long 53.
15 may be a little much.
That was against BYU last year in the opener. Lambert steps away. hit as he throws it. That's a loose ball. It's a live ball. The referee threw the flag, quickly picked it up.
Yeah, I think the referee meant to throw his beanbag, meaning that was a fumble. Freeman gets good pressure. Lambert initially steps up inside and does a nice job of getting away from it, but Freeman, 42, hustles and comes back in the play. Very heads up by Dowell.
And Virginia will go into the locker room with 2 timeouts in the bag.
Poor clock management by Virginia at the end of this half. That may come back to bite him in the second half.
A couple of missed opportunities by UVA. Georgia Tech will get it to receive when we start the third quarter. 21-10, Yellow Jackets on top. We'll get to the studio and Brendan Fitzgerald momentarily. We're just waiting to see if they're going to review that last play. They won't. Team's heading for the locker room, so we send you to our ESPNU studios. Brendan Fitzgerald standing by. Brendan.
Thanks, Anish. 21-10, the lead for Georgia Tech right now at home.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN, about ready for the start of the third quarter. Here in Atlanta, Georgia Tech leading Virginia 21-10. The Yellow Jackets scored on their first 3 possessions of the game. Then Virginia's defense was able to adjust, but some missed opportunities by UVA in that first half. Anish Shroff, Kelly Stauffer, what do you see as the big storyline going forward in this game?
I really like the adjustments Virginia made defensively. Georgia Tech got off in that first half, 243 yards, but only 58 in the second quarter. Virginia, I think, has adjusted defensively to that option. Virginia's offense, on the other hand, they had some missed opportunities, need to be way more efficient in this second half.
Yeah, there was a drop touchdown pass. There was some poor clock management toward the end of the first half. And now Georgia Tech will receive to start the third quarter.
I think that clock management issue at the end of the first half may prove very important here in the second half.
And the elements at play as well. Looks like a nice day, but wind has been swirling all afternoon. And that wind-aided kick by Sims will go for a touchback. Georgia Tech will start from its own 25-yard line as we take a look at the Taco Bell game track. The Yellow Jackets, 139 yards on the ground, and then a couple of touchdown passes by Justin Thomas, one to DeAndre Smeltzer, the other to Darren Waller. And you talk about the missed opportunities for Virginia. Keon Johnson dropped what would have been a touchdown. Instead, UVA settled for an Ian Fry field goal. Thomas started 4 for 4, 0 for 4 since. There's the pitch to Snoddy, and he is swarmed right at the line of scrimmage. Quinn Blanding led the charge, and Virginia, since those first 3 drives, has really gotten better defending the option.
Yeah, and that's what you said. There's the pitch and there's Blanding, and those things need to go hand in hand. If it isn't Blanding filling for that pitch, it's Harris, the other safety, and then Virginia also did a very good job, Anish, in that second quarter of changing up who has the pitch, who has the quarterback, and who has the fullback, and it worked very well for them.
Thomas under pressure, steps up, gets away, and got into the second level as he gets to the 32-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd and 3.
Design quarterback draw once again. We saw that in the first half, and Henry Coley out in space once again, misses a tackle and gives Justin Thomas a little bit more room than he actually deserved on that play.
Yeah, it's a few times Coley having to make a play in space has not been able to. Georgia Tech #1 in the nation in converting third downs. Screen pass to Waller. Stiff arms Phelps and picks up a first down.
First time we've seen that smoke screen or that now screen outside, and just the softness. Waller matched up on Phelps, the smaller defensive back, and good luck tackling that. Only needed 3 yards, and 6'5", 240 pounds later, Georgia Tech marches on.
From the 38, Thomas tackled by Eli Harold right at the line of scrimmage. Harold, number 7 in orange, second in the ACC in sacks, and he is one of the best pass rushers off the end in this conference.
And we haven't heard much from him in this game, but did a very good job of pursuing from the backside, as Vallis did a nice job in the face of that option.
The quarterback run game has been a non-factor for most of the afternoon for Georgia Tech. On 2nd and 10, screen pass, this time it's Smelter, cuts it inside, and he's across midfield into UVA territory. A gain of 14, and Smelter over the century mark for the day.
You talk about Virginia's defensive adjustments in the first half. This is Georgia Tech's offensive adjustment already here in the second half. The now screen outside, when Justin Thomas sees softness either on Waller or Smelter, he just rises up and pops it out there. And a lot of times the quarterback receiver are the only two that know what's going on.
Now they'll feed St. John Days, the B-back. Days across the 30. One man to beat, and finally pushed out by the freshman Blanding. A gain of 32.
Georgia Tech gets you thinking about the perimeter on those smoke screens, and then they bust you up Main Street with St. John Days, the fullback.
And Days now up to 112 yards rushing. He bests his career high, which was 110 set last week. Tech in the red zone. It's Days again, tripped up by Coley. Days to the 14-yard line. It'll bring up 2nd down. We spent some time with St. John Days yesterday, and he is the B-back in this offense, but really he is the back. He has played quarterback, he's played A-back. He's been a jack of all in his time with the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, what a valuable guy to have. His versatility has been needed. And once you play the quarterback position in this triple option offense, you can play anywhere in this offense as far as a guy that handles the ball, and he's very, very good at that fullback position.
On 2nd and 8, there's Days once again, ran into a roadblock at the 10-yard line, a gain of 3. It'll bring up 3rd down and about 5.
Paul Johnson is a tremendous play caller in this scheme and a really good in-game adjuster, maybe one of the best in college football at what he does. And remember the adjustment, they threw the quick screens outside to the perimeter, and then they start establishing the fullback once again in the tackle box.
Here's the give to Tony Zenin running off tackle. Zenin finally yanked down by Anthony Harris. And it looks like Zenin will be marked shy of the 1st down marker, but for Georgia Tech, this is probably 4-down territory.
And watch, Chamberlain is going to pull from the backside and lead, and a running back is going to go as well. This is a change-up. You get 2 offensive linemen pulling, 78 Braun and 53 Chamberlain. You get a back leading up as well. That's the power part of this offense.
Georgia Tech 78% on 4th down, and this is the norm for Paul Johnson in these situations.
That's because he's usually in 4th and extremely makeable.
Let's see if they go back to Days, and now a timeout. Tonight on ESPN2, #1 Mississippi State takes on Arkansas at 7:15 Eastern. Dak Prescott looking to build that Heisman case. You and I had Arkansas earlier this year, and I know they're winless in the SEC, but from watching them and seeing what they did to Alabama and coming close against Texas A&M, you get the idea they're going to beat somebody who matters before all is said and done.
And Mississippi State doesn't play very good defense right now, to be honest with you. And Arkansas has a program that travels well in this way. They run the football in a very physical way with a massively physical offensive line of scrimmage, and so that travels well. If they can play defense good enough and shorten the game because of that run game, Arkansas has a chance in that game this evening.
All right, Georgia Tech going forward on 4th and 1. Hill and Zen in the A-backs. They give us to Days, the B-back. Henry Coley saying Virginia stopped him. This will depend on the spot. Wow. I think Virginia might get a generous spot here. Might not be generous. I think they may have stopped him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Virginia stopped him, and once again, going back to St. John Days right up the middle, and that was a designed run all the way by the fullback. It wasn't an option at all, and I think Virginia stuffed this play. Well, that seems like that was a generous spot, and spots are reviewable as well. But I didn't even think he got that close.
Critical measurement early in the 3rd quarter. A lot of anticipation.
We're talking about a chain link right here.
And Mike London's got that look. He has not been able to catch a break of late.
Very well defended up inside, and where does the push get to? He certainly didn't have it initially, and it's not where St. John Days is overall, it's where the football is in his arm when he comes to a stop, and I think that was a really generous spot.
Matt Connors into the game as the B-back to spell Days. There's Thomas, quarterback keeper. He doesn't get very far.
And Mike London could have had a quarterback or a coaching challenge on that, but those are really,
you need indisputable to overturn the call on the field.
And they're kind of irrelevant anyway because they review every play. They're constantly looking in the replay booth for anything that they need to take a further look at. And so obviously in the replay booth they felt that they saw what they needed to see and didn't stop play.
12th play of the drive coming up. 2nd and goal, Georgia Tech. And another timeout by Paul Johnson.
Timeout, Georgia Tech. Their second charge in the second half. 30 seconds.
Paul Johnson certainly isn't keeping those timeouts in his pocket.
We'll step aside as well with 8:33 to go. 2nd and goal, Yellow Jackets. The College Football Hall of Fame, it opened in August. There's a 45-yard indoor football field. And if you're a fan, you walk in, you sign in under your favorite team, and your experience becomes personalized. It's a tremendous experience if you're a fan of the game. 2nd and goal, Georgia Tech off the timeout. St. John Days waltzes into the end zone, and it's 27-10 Yellow Jackets.
Georgia Tech offensively is just tailor-made schematically to do that when they get deep in the red zone. So hard to defend, so many different options and moving parts, and then it's just the fullback. Designed run right down Main Street.
And that was a vintage Georgia Tech drive. 12 plays, 75 yards, and it ate up about 6.5 minutes of game clock. St. John Days filling in for Zach Lasky again into the end zone. Tech up 28-10. Well, we spent some time with St. John Days yesterday. A charismatic young man with plans to go to dental school. His offensive line and defensive line coach in middle school was his mom, Paula. She volunteered to coach on his youth football team and really didn't know much about the game. She knows a lot now, and in fact, she is one of his off-the-field coaches.
Certainly knows where to find number 10 as the ball is blown off the tee once again. But that drive right there, 12 plays and just a dagger in the heart, those are the drives that make it so hard on the opposing offense. And St. John Days was right in the middle of all of that last drive.
Days has had career games now in back-to-back weeks, and Paul Johnson will have a nice problem on his hand when Zach Lasky returns. This is Jennings. Jennings cuts it across the 35. Finally goes down at about the 38-yard line. And Virginia needs a spark. Both Virginia and Georgia Tech chasing Duke in the Coastal Division. The Blue Devils got an overtime win against Pittsburgh earlier today, and Duke has beaten Georgia Tech and has beaten Virginia. And I know there's the sadist out there who's saying, wait, is there still a chance everybody could finish 4-4 in the Coastal Division?
Yeah.
And then let's see what happens. But this division has been chaos the last few years.
This team right here, Miami, is
rising.
probably playing better than anyone in that entire division.
Duke's only conference loss this season was to Miami. You saw the stat, only 5 rushing yards for Virginia. They go to the air, and that ball batted down. 2nd down and 10. Kelly, Virginia hasn't scored a second-half touchdown in 3 games. 18 points, their largest deficit of the year. What do they have to do to get this offense moving?
They have to catch the football. I think in that first half, Lambert played pretty well, but they had 6 drops the last time we counted. And so they have to finish plays. They have to complete the design and execution of the play. And this Georgia Tech offense is relentless and forces the opposing offense to be so highly efficient, it makes it tough sledding.
Here's the give. It's Parks. Parks to the 45-yard line. A gain of 7. We have not called Kevin Parks' name much. Just 4 carries, 6 yards in that first half. Sean Green down on the field for Georgia Tech. He's one of the starting defensive tackles. We told you earlier, Georgia Tech shook up its defensive alignment a little bit. Patrick Gamble, who had been backing up at D tackle, moved into a starting role at D end in place of Kyle Travis. And freshman Corey Griffin bumped Jamal Golden at free safety.
And Ted Roof is just trying to find a combination that works, and they have been a defense that on 1st and 2nd down, they're kind of bend but don't break, soft coverage, keep the ball in front of you, then some exotic blitz type stuff on 3rd down, but doesn't have a lot of playmakers, especially on that defensive line of scrimmage that they had in the past, led by Atauchu, who is a disruptor, and he could create matchups just with Atauchu. They don't have that player yet. Freeman is on his way to becoming a player like that.
On 3rd down. That's caught by Mizell, fighting for the extra yards, and he's able to pick up a Virginia first down. Taquan Mizell, a running back, but he leads the team in receptions.
And this is a really nice route on the angle route back inside by Mizell. The coverage cannot be any better right there by Golden, the safety coming down to take the back Mizell out of the backfield, but that was a really good finish on the ball by a running back. Might turn Mizell into a slot receiver and just leave him out of the backfield entirely.
On the ground, here is Mizell. And he's held up at the 45, a gain of 5, 2nd down and 5.
This is where Mizell needs to get better. The cutback is here, and he's late getting there, and so he gets caught by traffic coming from behind. Right there, the door was open wide to the right side, but he was late getting there. He has the speed right now, but not the instincts to finish that play.
Off play action. That's a catch. Kanan Severin picks up a first down for Virginia. To go back to your point on Mizell, Mike London said, we just have to get him into space. When he's in space, he's as dangerous as anybody. But as Mizell comes off the field, that's been the problem. He can't make that initial move to have a chance at busting one.
He has to learn to get himself in space. That play that I just illustrated on is an example of that. There was space to the right, and he didn't see it early enough.
3-man rush. Lambert's pass tipped and intercepted. Picked off by Adam Gotsis, the D lineman from Australia.
And Freeman, the defensive end that we talked about, becoming that built-in pressure element for Ted Roof's defense, I think, is the guy that tips this ball. The protection was there initially, but it breaks down, and the tip right there was Freeman, number 42, comes flying in, and then Gotsis finishes the play. The big boy on the ground has great hands at 285 pounds.
2 sacks last week, and now a pick this afternoon. Georgia Tech forced its first turnover of the game. Keyshawn Freeman tipped the ball. Adam Gotsis picked it off.
And this is a nice finish by the big boy right here. You can see the tip by Freeman, and then Gotsis goes down, gets his hands under it.
Good form.
Yeah, inevitably, everyone that starts in the game of football wanted to touch the football at some point. Gotsis is one of those guys that probably outgrew the ability to play a position where you could still handle the ball, but that was a good finish right there.
Off the turnover, that's St. John Days up ahead for a gain of 2. 125 yards rushing for Days. And as we alluded to earlier, Days is filling in right now for Zach Lasky, who's normally the B-back, the deep back in this offense. And Paul Johnson hopes Lasky can come back relatively soon, and when Lasky does, there's a role now, and an expanded role for St. John Days on this team.
And Days gives you a little something that Lasky doesn't, and it's more bulk. At 230-plus pounds versus 218, that means something in the tackle box.
Georgia Tech bleeding the clock on the option. Here's Tony Zenin. There is a penalty marker as Zenin gets right back to the line of scrimmage.
This actually might be a chop block because Georgia Tech likes to chop people to the ground, but you can't do it with 2 guys, 2 offensive linemen engaged at the same time. And I think that's what this is going to be inside.
Personal foul, chop block on the offense, number 58 and number 71. 15-yard penalty, second down.
That's the center, Freddie Burden, and Shamir Devine, the massive freshman, 6'7", 365 pounds.
And that's the proper way to call it. You can see the center inside, and then the guard comes down and Devine, and both offensive linemen were ruled to be engaged in the defensive lineman at the same time, and that's the proper way for the official to call that. There were 2 players that were doing something that they shouldn't be, and so they say both numbers.
After the penalty, second down and 24. Georgia Tech now backed up inside its own 30. Thomas to throw. Downfield for Waller. And it's a little too high. Good coverage there by Brandon Phelps, who's back at corner this season after playing safety the last 2.
And that was thrown into the wind, and good luck catching this ball. I hope we can see this. This thing changes direction. To throw into the wind, you have to have a tight ball or it performs somewhat like a knuckleball. It looks like a butterfly, and Justin Thomas did not get good spin on that, and you needed a basket to catch that one with.
Wind's been a factor for everybody. I feel bad for the people below us. We've had about a dozen papers blow off our area. Here's the option to Snoddy. At first by Harris and then finished off by Vallis, 4th down.
That penalty on that particular drive was the negative play that eventually becomes the drive killer, and Virginia does not care where that play comes from. They just need one to get this Georgia Tech offense off the field.
We already started to see Georgia Tech bleed the clock. Virginia's down 3 scores, and there's a legitimate question if they even get the ball 3 more times the rest of the way. That's if Georgia Tech has its way. There is a flag.
Pre-snap penalty movement on Georgia Tech.
False start. Offense, number 55. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Don't forget, following our game, Old Dominion, Vanderbilt, 7 p.m. on ESPNU. Ryan Rodwell on to punt it away. Another knuckleball for Shepard. Fields it inside his own 35, nowhere to go. There is the aforementioned ODU Vandy game following Virginia Georgia Tech. It's been a tough first season for Vanderbilt without James Franklin, who's now over at Penn State. And they're still looking for their first SEC win. Of course, this is a non-conference tilt.
And we talked about the effect of the Georgia Tech offense coming into this game on the opposing offense. And you're exactly right, Anish. How many more touches does Virginia have left in this entire game? It forces you offensively to be ultra efficient, and up to this point, Virginia hasn't been that.
It is a form of psychological warfare, the way Georgia Tech plays football in 2014. It is to Parks, lowers his shoulder. He's to the 36-yard line, gaining a couple. Virginia has had pretty much nothing on the ground today, and we're getting close to that point where they're probably going to abandon the ground game altogether.
And this is really the time to do it. They're going with the wind, and throwing short to intermediate routes will work well going with the wind. Throwing deeper, the ball will be pushed a little bit, and Lampert has to understand that.
Shepard split wide. There is Shepard on the screen. And he's finally driven out of bounds by Isaiah Johnson with 14 tackles last week and the win against Pittsburgh.
Now, one thing we haven't seen out of Virginia much today is the screen game. Steve Fairchild, the offensive play caller for Virginia, is a great screen game guy, and especially to the running backs inside the tackle box, and we haven't seen a lot of that. This would be a pretty good place for him. Steve Fairchild, old Colorado State quarterback.
Yeah,
they're all over the place.
As you reminded me earlier today, well before you. Over the middle, Severin, he's short of the first down.
But the decision right here, you talked about
spot. Well, I think they're going to respot it.
How many more touches does Virginia have? If they come up short here, this might be all in time for Mike London.
You think about Georgia Tech's last drive, the Yellow Jackets ate up, I should say, the drive before that, they ate up 6.5 minutes.
Yeah.
A couple of those, it means A, they probably score, and B, if you get the ball back, it might be too late.
You got to throw the gauntlet down. If you're Mike London, I think right here, quarterback sneak with Lambert. He's a big-bodied quarterback anyway. You need right there, we saw about probably 8 inches. Steve Fairchild, quarterback sneak on the first count and just move the chains.
This is a Virginia team with plenty at stake down the stretch. At 4-4.
The long play call for a quarterback sneak, plus your quarterback isn't under center. That makes it difficult.
They'll hand it off, and Shepard surges across the 45 and picks up a Virginia first down.
All of the pre-snap minutia is about trying to get the defensive tackle box, the players in the defensive tackle box, get their eyes in the wrong place. And in the end, you were just running right down Broadway, but all of the pre-snap minutia, you did not know that.
Lambert rolling to his left. Takes a shot downfield, had a receiver open. Jennings reverses field to make the catch. He was turned all around and still made the reception.
Watch the catch at the very end. This is about one of the best adjustments on the football that you will ever see. Does Jennings come down with the football inbounds? I think the officials should take a look at that.
Virginia gets the playoff. Here's Shepard. And he's to the 10-yard line. That catch by Jennings, good for 42 yards. P.J. Davis on the stop. It'll bring up second down. Here we are again, Virginia in the red zone. They had a drop touchdown pass earlier and had to settle for a field goal. Another critical situation for Virginia deep in their opponent's territory. They have to get 6.
Yeah, they only get touchdowns on the season coming into this game half the time. That won't cut it here.
On 2nd and 8. Lambert on the run. And he'll scamper out of bounds. It'll bring up 3rd down.
Let's go back and look at that catch by Jennings, and he has the football. My question was whether he comes down in bounds. A tremendous adjustment on the ball, and the official must have ruled that his knee was down inbounds before his upper body actually came down on the line. That was close.
Mizell in the game. Virginia has to get to the 2 for a 1st down. On 3rd and 8, that pass batted down, and it's 4th down for UVA. They went for it once on the drive. Does Mike London roll the dice again?
I think you have to roll the dice right here, and Lambert missed Mizell wide open out in the flats, did not go through his progression. At times, Grayson Lambert gets stuck going through his progression, and he did right there. Mizell was wide open in the flat, could have walked in the end zone.
Fourth and 8. Here's the pressure. Lambert throws it in the end zone. Intercepted by Golden.
I love it when defensive backs treat the football as theirs when it's in the air, and Golden does on this play. Somewhat of a back shoulder throw, and Lambert hoping that Severin will see the ball, and Severin does, but Golden wants it just a little bit more and fights through it and makes a better play on the ball in the end.
Second interception of the second half for Lambert. Virginia was mistake-free in the first half. And against Georgia Tech, you just cannot turn it over. When they win the turnover margin, they're almost unbeatable. There's Broderick Snoddy. Uses a blocker and gets up to the 24, a gain of 4. Let's check in with the studio and Brendan Fitzgerald. All right, Brendan, the 3rd quarter has come to an end. Georgia Tech, with a touchdown on its opening drive of the quarter, has a 3-score lead. 15 minutes left in regulation. Virginia suffered a heartbreaking loss last week to North Carolina. There was a shot of Mike London sinking to his knees when his team had too many men on the field on 4th and 2 for North Carolina. And now Virginia down 18. Georgia Tech with the ball back after a turnover. Justin Thomas slings it downfield. It's incomplete. And you look at the last drive for Virginia, there was a chance to get on the board.
Yeah, missed opportunities, a tremendous adjustment on the ball, and then this play right here, this is actually the interception at the very end. The play before that was Mizell standing wide open in the right flat, and Lambert doesn't see him, doesn't go through his progression, and that's a missed opportunity. We'll try to take a look at that after this play, but those are the situations that in plays that Virginia has not taken advantage of here this afternoon.
Quarterback keeper on 3rd and 6 on a zigzagging by Thomas, and he lost a yard. Let's go back to that play you were talking about, Kelly.
And just take a look. If Lambert just goes through his progression right here, you're going to see Mizell wide open in the flat, completely outflanks the coverage, and he could have walked into the end zone, and that actually should be Lambert's first read on that play. A quick glance to the receiver going out into the flat, and then you work back inside, and the missed opportunities come in a variety of ways, and that's a big one right there.
Virginia still has a pulse. Good kick by Rodwell. Shepard had some trouble with it, now inside the zone 20, and tackled at the 17-yard line, a 59-yard punt. That's how you take advantage of the wind. Longest punt of the season for Rodwell. Tonight in Oxford, Mississippi, 4th-ranked Ole Miss takes on Auburn, 7 Eastern on ESPN. Big game as we talk about the college football playoff. Both teams currently in the playoff. Polaroid, and in the picture now at quarterback for Virginia, Matt Johns to relieve Grayson Lambert, who threw 2 interceptions in the second half. Johns on first down, the screen to Mizell. He takes a big hit, and Mizell dropped at the 20, a gain of 3. Mike London told us if Grayson Lambert didn't play well, he wouldn't hesitate to make a move. Lambert a couple of costly turnovers here in the second half, and in comes Matt Johns, who's played quite a bit this season. In fact, Johns in the season opener against UCLA nearly led Virginia back when Lambert threw a couple of pick sixes. Play action. Johns on the run, incomplete. It skips on Jennings. And really, since Matt Schaub left, which is now more than a decade, look at number 2. Virginia as a team, 141 touchdown passes, 140 interceptions. The search for a quarterback in Charlottesville has been a decade-long problem.
Yeah, it's never an easy process to try to find that guy. And let's go revisit this decision. You have Lambert that I thought played pretty well. His interceptions was a receiver not making a very good play on the ball. The other one was a tip pass at the line of scrimmage, and he had 6 drop passes. But let's make a quarterback change. Sometimes that's not the problem.
Flag on the play. Johns heaves it downfield, and that is caught. Keon Johnson with the reception near the 40. Flag back at the 18.
Illegal shift on the offense. 2 players moving at the same time. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So 2 players that move at the same time, they have to get reset for the proper amount of time before the ball is snapped, and that's what the official right there is explaining to Mike London, that 2 players moved and then they didn't get reset before the ball was snapped. And these sometimes it's not the quarterback's problem. I know that sometimes you make a change just to try to get a spark, but I thought Lambert played pretty well. His interceptions by and large was not his fault, and he can't catch the ball, and he throws it as well. 6 drop passes in this game. Sometimes it's easy to change the quarterback, but it doesn't solve your problem.
Yeah, the receivers have not helped. Johns on 3rd and long. Severin was in the area code, but he wasn't looking up for that football. So 4th down. The quarterback change does little. A penalty wiped out what would have been a 20-yard gain. And with 12:49 to go in the 4th, odds are looking long right now for Virginia.
Yeah, Mike London's team certainly needs something really, really good to happen quickly, but I've been on both ends of that quarterback decision. I benefited from it, and then I was hurt by it. And sometimes if you feel you're doing everything in your power as a quarterback, but yet they make a change, that's the hardest thing to handle.
This one dies in the wind. It goes out of bounds at the 38-yard line of Virginia. Georgia Tech will take over after a 23-yard punt. That's a snapshot of the ACC Coastal Division. Duke in the driver's seat at 3-1. The Blue Devils, their lone loss was to Miami. They beat Georgia Tech, beat Virginia. So if Georgia Tech holds on, they would need Duke to lose 2 more times because of that tiebreaker. And Georgia Tech would have to take care of business on its end and win out. The Yellow Jackets with a win today would be the first of 4 conference wins in the ACC Coastal. There's the option. And that sends him Days to the 30. All right, Kelly, size up the contenders in the Coastal.
Well, it might be Duke's years based on that win against Pitt, but you can see right there that I think Duke is certainly in the driver's seat. And then Miami, I think that's the dark horse. If it's a horse race coming up from the outside, that's Miami. And North Carolina, huge loss today. They got taken to the woodshed by Miami. And Virginia, we see it here today. They just aren't consistent enough on the offensive side of the ball and a tough schedule remaining for Virginia.
Back to Days. He's over 130 yards rushing. Duke, who won the Coastal last year and played in the ACC Championship, has by far the easiest remaining schedule. 3 home games and the lone road game at Syracuse.
Yeah, I think they're in the driver's seat. First of all, they're playing really well. I think holistically, as a team, I think offensive, defensive, special team phases, I think that's the team to beat. But Miami right now is
They still have to play Florida State, though.
Yeah, I understand that. They have to go. They have that at home, which if you're looking at Florida State having a hiccup somewhere down the road, Miami right now, the way they're playing, they're legit. But you're right, that's a tough game for them as well.
Georgia Tech moves the chains. I thought Miami was going to be in trouble. I was saying for 2 weeks, I thought Louisville was going to win on Thursday night. It looked good for about a half. And then Florida State showed you what they're made of. They were terrific. Dalvin Cook, especially in that second half.
Against Florida State, I don't know if it's as much about Florida State as it is the opposition kind of get weak in the knees when they have an opportunity to beat them. We saw it out of Clemson, and we saw it again out of Louisville. Even North Carolina State had Florida State to the wall late in that game.
And certainly Clemson did. Henry Coley got dragged for a few yards by St. John Days. Second down. Meanwhile, for Georgia Tech, again, we said it off the top. At this point of the season, you know who you are. And the Yellow Jackets, to their credit, played much better defensively today than they had in recent weeks. But the bread and butter is this ball control offense, which inflicts at times psychological warfare. There's the option keeper, Thomas, inside the 20, and he's to the 18-yard line. Their best defense right now is their offense's ability to keep their defense off the field.
There's no doubt about it. When we interviewed the coaches during the week, offensive play caller Steve Fairchild from Virginia, one of the first things he says about Georgia Tech's defense is they only have to play 67 snaps a game on average, and that's exactly the residue that this Georgia Tech option leaves for their offense. Virginia's defense has actually adjusted and played really well here after that first quarter where Georgia Tech had 185 yards, 143 since that coming into this drive.
Again, Days just bowling over defenders, and he picks up another first down for Georgia Tech. You look at Georgia Tech averaging almost 33 minutes per game in time of possession. Drives of 10 or more plays, top 10. Against Miami this season, they had the ball for more than 40 minutes.
And they milk the clock, too. They like all of that play clock in the era in college football, as they possess the ball 31 minutes and counting right now. But in the era of college football, well, it's about spread and the volume of plays. Time of possession still means something to Paul Johnson in this offense at Georgia Tech.
Thomas will keep it, and he gets eaten up by Mike Moore. A loss of a couple. Second down. And right now, Kelly, this offense fits the defense.
Yeah, watch the penetration here by Moore, and a very good job of trusting his eyes. The fullback did not have the football, and he just moved from fullback right up and climbed the ladder to the quarterback. A very good job by Jones. But, yeah, I mean, go ahead and finish that.
The point was, you have a weak defense. What's the best way to not expose it is to keep your offense out on the field. You look at a team like, let's say, North Carolina. They like to run a lot of plays and go up tempo, which is great for their offense. But if their offense has a couple of 3-and-outs, now your defense, as a result, is on the field for a long time. That's your weakness. And UNC, a team that's been burned with their offensive philosophy, they've been burned defensively.
And the same thing has happened at places like Baylor,
sure,
places like Oregon. Sometimes their defenses get exposed, and maybe not because they're poor defensively. It's just that they're on the field a lot because their offense just scores quickly. And this particular offense by Paul Johnson, it's very defensive friendly for your own defense for the reasons you said, and it can hide a lot of flaws defensively on your own team.
Movement along that right side.
False start. Offense. Number 72, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
That's the right tackle, Chris Griffin. His parents are Chris and Rhonda, not Peter and Lois.
You're going to have to explain
Family
that
Guy.
one to me, man.
It's a
Family Guy? Is that like a show?
TV
is
show,
Is
yeah.
that a movie? Partner, I told you that you just can't go there with me. If it isn't on the cooking channel, I just can't keep up with you.
Some more Emerald references. There's Days, and he'll cruise in, and that'll seal it for Georgia Tech. Well, you want to talk about the difference between these two teams today. Virginia, the red zone struggles have continued. Georgia Tech, 5 red zone trips, 5 touchdowns.
Don't forget about the fullback in the run game, or, by the way, in the pass game as well. Days leaks out into the flat, out-leverage the coverage, and Thomas finds it.
Extra point by Butker is good. It's 35-10. I know what I'm getting you for Christmas this year.
Welcome back, everybody, where Georgia Tech has taken a commanding lead. And if you know Paul Johnson, then you need to know the fullback. And St. John Days has had a tremendous day here. Running the football up the middle. You have to find the fullback if you're playing Georgia Tech. And then you can also catch the ball out in the flat. What a day St. John Days has had.
141 yards rushing, a career high, and a receiving touchdown. And his old career high was set last week when he filled in for Zach Lasky at 110 yards, as Darius Jennings brings it out to about the 28-yard line. Undefeated Mississippi State, the lone unbeaten in the SEC, home for Arkansas tonight. If you're a Georgia Tech fan who's watched this Yellow Jacket offense grind you with the running game, you can appreciate what Arkansas does. Similar philosophy, they just lose the option. They have hogs up front, and it's smash mouth old school football.
Yeah, and the commonality is typically in the second half, even in the fourth quarter, defenses just want to go home, and that's what you'll see with Arkansas this evening as well.
Keon Johnson hauls that one in for a first down at the 41-yard line. Matt Judge, the backup quarterback in the game. And I wonder, does Virginia have a decision to make going forward as to who's their quarterback for the balance of the season?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they do. I think that's something that they're going to have to decide. Is it Johns or Lambert?
John steps up in traffic, and that is caught by Zachary Swanson. He has Virginia's lone touchdown. It's a gain of a dozen.
This is something that we didn't see, and I know it's late in this game, but going up tempo is something that maybe Virginia could have gotten some airtime with earlier.
Johns pumps, now goes underneath. Keon Johnson, and he is stood up by Golden. It's a gain of 5, 2nd and 5.
The tough part about that quarterback situation is Grayson Lambert and Matt Johns are best friends as well.
Yeah.
As typically happens. So the division won't be between those two guys. It's just a matter of which one brings the most to the table right now, and consistency in particular.
Patrick Gamble, who got the start at defensive end today, down on the field for Georgia Tech. There's an injured Virginia player as well. That's Eric Smith, who grew up not far from Atlanta, about 15 minutes outside in Decatur. 6:10 to go in regulation. Virginia moving the football, 2nd and 5 when we come back. Georgia Tech's Patrick Gamble looks like he's about to get wheeled off the field. He got tangled up with Eric Smith, and we just saw the replay a moment ago during the commercial break. It wasn't pretty. It was tough to watch. His ankle got rolled up and twisted in a way an ankle should not be twisted.
Yeah, it did not look good, that's for sure. And Anish, we talked about this. Patrick is typically nose tackle or a defensive tackle, and that was one of the moves that Ted Roof made, is to get more explosiveness. They moved Gamble out to the defensive end position, and he played really well today. So that is really unfortunate. He got rolled up on late, jumped over the pile, and then an offensive lineman actually rolled over him in the lower body, and it did not look pretty.
With Kelly Stauffer and Anish Shroff, Georgia Tech scored on its first 3 possessions of the game, then opened the third quarter with a scoring drive. The Yellow Jackets 5 for 5 in the red zone, and all 5 scores have been touchdowns, and that's been the story so far. Georgia Tech has capitalized. Virginia has not. Johns intercepted. Second pick of the game by Golden, and the Yellow Jackets get it back with 5:53 to go.
Matt Johns was kind of hung out to dry by Darius Jennings, who he thought was going to continue into the middle of the field on the post, and Golden, we think, made a really good play on the ball. This was another tremendous catch, apparently, by Golden. I'm not so sure he had that one.
You think Golden had a little something to prove today? He was demoted before the game. Corey Griffin, the redshirt freshman, got the start. And Golden making the most of his opportunity. His other interception was in the end zone.
Yeah, and Golden fought for the ball in the end zone, and it looked like to me the nose of that ball was on the ground. In that second look, it definitely looked like it was on the ground, but the replay officials has apparently ruled otherwise.
Backup quarterback Tim Byerly in the game for Georgia Tech.
It's under further review. The ruling on the field is an interception by Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think this is going to be overturned, because I think in that second grasp for the ball, it actually leaks a little bit to the ground. Not necessarily right there, but he doesn't catch it clean. And then the ball leaks out a little bit right there. I think it's on the ground. That's a great look at it, guys, and I think this will be confirmed as one that's going to be overturned.
We showed you the stat earlier. Since Matt Schaub left in 2003, no Virginia quarterback has thrown more than 15 touchdown passes in a season. It's probably not going to happen this year. Quarterback has been a revolving door in Charlottesville. David Watford was the guy last year. He's the third stringer this year. We've seen Lambert to start the season. Johns replaced him in week 1, but Lambert got hurt. Now you've got a quarterback controversy down the stretch where you're a Virginia team that has to win critical games, and for Mike London, it might be his job.
We take one more look at that potential interception. Remember, this was called a catch on the field, an interception, but I think it was pretty clear that that ball actually rolled onto the ground late. This should be overturned, and they have enough evidence, I think, that it should be confirmed as such. But you talked about the quarterback situation in Virginia. Steve Fairchild told us that Grayson Lambert is very raw. This is really his first year playing, and was in a high school system that didn't teach him a lot about reading defenses, and so all of that is new to him. And this was really the barometer game. He was developing, got dinged up a little bit. Matt Johns went in and played, and then Lambert has been back in and playing better. I thought Lambert played very well last week against UNC. He had a couple of mistakes. He does get stuck in his progression, but a big arm, big body, I think there's potential there, but Matt Johns brings a lot to the table as well. They certainly have a decision to make at a time when it's not really good for them to be messing with that quarterback position.
You know, we said at the top of the broadcast, it is a critical time of the season for not just Lambert, the quarterback, but for this coaching staff. Mike London was on the hot seat last year when Virginia won just 10 games. He got the 2014 season. He had a great recruiting class, including 2 top 10 prospects. Quinn Blanding, who's already making waves as maybe the top freshman in the ACC. And Andrew Brown, who's been dinged up, but they really like him on the defensive line.
Well, the hardest part to do in building a program is closing that last gap where you make the plays to win games like this. And there were some plays where they could have been right in this game and they just didn't finish them.
Well, Kelly, this was clear to you, but it's taking David Epperly in the replay booth. Nicholas Traynor is a replay official. It's taken them a while.
After further review, the ruling on the field is reversed. The ball hit the ground. Virginia will retain the ball at the 41-yard line. 3rd down and 5.
Remember
Please reset the game clock to 5:55.
Remember, the standard is indisputable video evidence, and it certainly looked like it on that play, and I think they got that exactly right. But Mike London is wondering why they're not marking the ball where it should be. The officials got turned around a little bit, and they were all of a sudden back in their own territory, was Virginia.
It'll be 3rd and 5. I believe the ball was at the 41-yard line of Georgia Tech.
I think that's why it took so long. I think they needed to get their spot right and the time right. I think the play itself they could have overturned very quickly.
Shepard in the backfield, trips left. Play action, Johns downfield. He wants Jennings, and it's just out of his reach. Chris Milton on the coverage, and that'll bring up 4th and 5.
Another play, quite frankly, that needs to be made by a receiver. If we can take another look at that, these are the type of plays that have to be made if you're trying to take the program to the next level. That was dropped in there nearly perfectly, and a receiver doesn't finish the play. If you want to take the next step, your offense has to start finishing plays like that.
David Watford seeing some time as a receiver today. The 3rd string quarterback, Virginia dealing with some injuries at the receiver position. Johns under pressure, finds Mizell, he makes the catch, and apparently could not hang on, so a turnover on downs. Georgia Tech will get it back with 5:40 to go, and it's another drop by this receiving corps.
Yeah, certainly catchable. I count this personally as probably 8 in this game, and if you're looking for the areas that you have to do a better job in order to win games like this, or like last week against UNC, it's plays like that. It's 8 plays like that in this game that Virginia has dropped the ball when they could have extended drives or made big plays.
Tim Byerly into the game, and he'll run it on the quarterback keeper for a gain of 2. Well, the story offensively for Virginia, missed opportunities, and the receiving corps thin, but they have not helped the quarterbacks.
I mean, the quarterback can only do so much. Receivers have to complete it. Play callers have good designs, but they can't catch the ball for you. And when you're trying to close the gap and win close games, all of those things matter. And Virginia didn't do that very well here this afternoon.
Defensively, Virginia has held Georgia Tech to under 400 yards. Georgia Tech had put up more than 600 yards of total offense in its last 2 games. But right now, the schedule that awaits the Wahoos, just brutal. At Florida State, then a bye week, then a home game on Friday night against Miami before finishing the season at Virginia Tech in a big rivalry game. And Mike London's team is going to have to go 2-1 in that stretch to become bowl eligible.
And so the decision makers at Virginia pertaining to their football team need to just ask the question, do we see progress? Because if you fire the coaching staff, you set the program back 3 years, recruiting-wise and in every other phase, and it's hard to gain traction if you don't give staffs like this time to do their thing. So it's a risk and reward, and I'm not exactly sure what the proper decision will be.
Don't forget, following our game, Old Dominion Vandy from Nashville. That comes your way at 7 Eastern on ESPNU and the Watch ESPN app. You know, there's another part of this for Mike London. You look at the non-conference schedule that Virginia plays. They played BYU back when Taysom Hill was healthy. They played UCLA in the season opener. Last year they opened up against BYU, then played Oregon. Well, Mike London is getting some big-time recruits. Quinn Blanding and Andrew Brown were top 10 guys, number 1 at their position. Look at what Duke is doing, though. they're playing a much softer non-conference schedule. They're building that program. And the catch-22 for London is you're probably not getting guys like Blanding and Brown to come to Charlottesville if you play Duke's schedule.
Great
so
point.
you have to play these marquee games, but as a program, you might not be ready for them. Byerly in the direction of Corey Dennis, and a flag on the play. It's been a tough afternoon for Kennedy, who's normally Virginia's top cover corner.
Yeah, we've seen him in a tough position about 4 different times.
Pass interference on the defense, number 26. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I like his physicality early, but then you have to stop when the ball's in the air. And right there, the receiver's coming back for it, and Kennedy just reaches up with that right arm and impedes the progress of the receiver back to the football. But back to your point about that scheduling, recruits want 2 things coming out of high school this day and age. They want to play quickly, and they want to play in big games.
They want to play on TV. They want to play in front of big crowds.
And that's what Mike London faces. You saw that schedule, the non-conference schedule, is difficult to gain traction in. It's tough enough when you start conference play.
Meanwhile, for Georgia Tech, they're on their way to 4-2 in the ACC, still chasing Duke. The Yellow Jackets, a couple of tough games down the stretch. Still have to play Clemson. And, of course, a non-conference tilt to finish the season in a rivalry game against Georgia. Snoddy in motion. Byerly will keep it on the option. And he gets popped at the 33-yard line. It's a gain of 4.
Curious to see Clemson's defense against this Georgia Tech option. That is going to be a matchup to behold.
We've seen Clemson a few times, and you said that might be the best defense in the country. Certainly the front seven's got a strong case.
Oh, yeah. And remember how they're playing on the back end. Those safeties and those corners have really escalated their play. I elevated their play as well. I think from top to bottom, a really, really good defense.
That's Matt Connors, the former walk-on. He actually had a 32-yard touchdown run against Virginia here at Bobby Dodd Stadium 2 years ago when these two teams played.
I love to see the Matt Connors of the world getting time in the world of college football. A 5th-year senior having paid his dues in a system that isn't all that fun to practice in. You know, run up there and get pummeled in practice and ball handling, all those things. And Matt Connors gets an opportunity. I love to see stuff like that.
Isaiah Willis, Ike Willis, as he likes to be called, into the game, number 45 for Georgia Tech. Byerly on the run. He'll just keep it. And torpedoes inside the 25-yard line to the 23. A gain of 10, another Yellow Jackets first down. Paul Johnson and Mike London were both accomplished coaches at the FCS level at one point. Johnson won a couple of championships, in fact, back-to-back titles at Georgia Southern. And London won an FCS championship at Richmond. Connors doesn't get very far, no gain, 2nd and 10. There's actually 3 current FBS head coaches who won FCS titles. Johnson did it in 1999 and 2000 at Georgia Southern. Mike London did it at Richmond in 2008. And Craig Bohl, now at Wyoming in his first season with the Cowboys, won 3 straight at North Dakota State. In fact, the last 3, and by the way, that Bison program, they have not lost this year under new head coach Chuck Kleiman. Byerly up the middle as Georgia Tech continues to gash this Virginia defense, a gain of 7. If the Yellow Jackets can come out of the Coastal, they'll need some help. They'll need Duke to trip up a couple of times. Is this a team with this kind of offense that can maybe give a Florida State trouble potentially down the road?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what could give someone like Florida State trouble down the road, is the scheme offensively by Paul Johnson. That's the difference maker. And it levels the playing field because teams just don't practice well against this scheme. They don't see it very often this day and age, and it gives Georgia Tech an opportunity in every game that they play in, barring the defensive side of the ball for Georgia Tech.
Byerly is going to be shy of the first down marker, so 4th down Another look at the ACC Coastal Division standings. Again, Duke beat Georgia Tech head-to-head. The Blue Devils still have to play 4 more conference games, only one of them, though, on the road. They're at Syracuse and then NC State, Wake Forest, and UNC. Duke also has the softest remaining schedule. For Georgia Tech, they're at NC State next week, then home for Clemson, followed by a bye week to get ready for Georgia. And last check, Georgia was losing to Florida.
Getting pummeled by Florida.
Georgia Tech able to pick up the first down on 4th and 1. 31-13, Florida on top of Georgia.
Where did that come from? Georgia was one of the hottest teams in college football for the last few weeks, without Todd Gurley, by the way, and Florida out of the fog shows up, and wow. That's why college football is such a tremendous game. You just never know. 18 to 20-year-old kids, you don't know from week to week what you're going to get.
You know, I've talked about this plenty of times with Kevin Carter, who's in the studio, and he said the emotional component in college football comes into play far more than it does at the professional level, where it's all business. You know what your job is, you go out and do it. But he says at the college level, you do run on emotional highs and emotional lows, and you can't maybe quantify that, but it's certainly a variable.
Oh, I totally agree with Kevin. I mean, what your girlfriend may break up with your starting quarterback and throw the whole thing into a tailspin. I mean, you just never know in the college football game what these kids have to deal with.
Are you talking from experience?
Geometry test.
Are you talking from experience?
I didn't give her a chance. I married my
That's
high
right.
school
You locked
sweetheart.
it down pretty quickly. Connors tackled, and that should do it. The Georgia Tech machine keeps rolling on. Now 7-2. The Yellow Jackets first to 4 wins in the ACC Coastal. Virginia falls to 4-5. UVA has now lost 3 in a row. And Georgia Tech, with the win, clinches a winning season. Next up for the Yellow Jackets, a road trip to Raleigh to take on NC State. Virginia has to get ready for a road trip to Tallahassee and undefeated Florida State. Time now for college football scoreboard. Brendan Fitzgerald in the studio. We say goodnight from Atlanta. Your final score, Georgia Tech 35, Virginia 10. The Yellow Jackets 4-2 in the ACC.